Alexander Elliot Anderson Salmon was born to privilege. Not the privilege of rank, not the privilege of money, not the privilege of connections, but the overwhelming privilege of being a black bitch. That, of course, for those who don't understand that, is the appellation for people who are born in Linlithgow. And the black bitch that is on the town's crest carries beneath it the motto Fidelis, faithfulness. And Alec has been a faithful servant of this Parliament and of this country. He was born with the privilege of caring and nurturing parents, the privilege of a free education to liberate his potential, the foundations of his ambitions for all our people. From day one, he was a disruptive influence. Being born on Hogmanay, he could hardly be otherwise. The parties were somewhat subdued on that particular day. He's been a potent agent for change. His life has been and will remain in the public gaze, but not everything's known. So, Alec, his sons will do, left the family home. His mother Mary breathed a great sigh of relief. A certain calm fell over 101 Preston Road, Linlithgow. But it was actually going to be a few years before Alec finally departed. His mother, fed up with his still occupying an entire room in the house, moved all his political impedimenta he'd accumulated in its many boxes and disorder into the front garden. She phoned him to remind him that she lived a mere 300 metres from Linlithgow's recycling centre. Strangely, the garden was soon restored to its natural order, and Mary and Robert had the room in their house back. So, when we read his autobiography, and I have the money waiting here now, First Minister, remember its genesis in that front garden. His grandfather was a wonderful storyteller who equipped him with that ability to construct a story, to tell the story, and to seize the imagination. In May 1961, John F. Kennedy committed his country to land a man on the moon before the decade was out and return them safely to Earth. It wasn't known that it could be done. It wasn't known how it would be done, but he knew that it had to be done. And Alec comes from that mould, a formidable leader, a formidable challenger of the status quo, a man who sets the rest of us formidable challenges. He's the toughest boss I've ever worked for or with, and the fairest, and a team builder. But however tough he's been on me, or tough on the rest of us, he's always been tougher on himself. A driven man, building on the achievements of our previous three First Ministers, he's raised the bar still further for our next First Minister, raised the bar for Nicola. He's always been conscious that we're all here, Parliament, office life, for but a short passage of time, and hence that everything is about people. And for me, there are two events illustrate that. In the referendum, and an echo from a previous campaign. Some 15 years earlier, when I was driving him around Scotland, yes, I used to be Alex Salmon's driver, we came up this incline and we found someone lying in the middle of the road with a beating heart but a tortured mind. Alec was first out of that car to help that person in their distress. Our plans for the day were put on hold until we returned them to their family. And he'd listened to their story and he'd offered help. Not a thought for his personal safety on a busy road or for the day's political objectives. During the referendum campaign, so recently passed, the most telling moment for me, if perhaps not for others, was when he met a young man who came up to him and explained politely that he was voting no. Now, Alec didn't seek to belittle that young man. He softly regretted the decision he'd made, but he shook his hand, he held his hand, he listened to that man. If we learn anything from Alec, it is that we must listen, perhaps especially to those with views differing from our own, however much we don't want to hear them. But of course, whatever we say this afternoon, whatever we say to Alec, we speak of transition, not of an ending. FMQs will, of course, be different, and Nicola will put her own stamp on that as Scotland's new leader. We'll miss your irritated flick behind the right ear when you judge that the question from the benches on the left is more inadequate than usual. We shall miss your careful checking of the wallet in the hip pocket when you've had a question from the benches on your right. We shall miss your checking that your jacket pocket flaps are out as you remember your spouse's commands for the day. Let me say to you, Alec, our First Minister, perhaps the last time I shall address him thus, whatever the future may hold, take from all of us our good wishes, our thanks, and our love.